So another day of getting tortured. Earlier today I was walking to the bus stop to go to work, and I passed by that rent-a-center truck, RAC, which now is like a thing for them now. Every time I pass it, they'll usually make a reference to that and rack my balls. This time they didn't rack them necessarily, but they did push against the whole pelvic region, and they even made a comment saying, oh, we're not wrecking your balls now. We're just pushing against it. We're pushing against your bladder right now. So it's kind of different now. But you should tell your dad that, you should be recording this right now. You should record it as you're walking by a Kip, as you're, to demonstrate that that's actually happening to you. So the odds of that being schizophrenic voices, Dad, that are coinciding with the moment that I passed by the rent-a-center truck, and usually I don't even notice that the truck's there. It moves to different positions in the parking lot of the strip mall. It goes back a little ways. Sometimes it's like closer to the building, and I don't even notice at all until they point it out. And so the odds of that being schizophrenic voice is always coinciding with that moment where I don't even pay attention to that thing because I don't give a shit about it, are virtually impossible. So once again, you're constantly ignoring videos. You're not even watching them. I don't even know if my sister's watching them, and you're constantly ignoring them. And again, you're not allowed to do nothing on this. You're not allowed to delay a rescue. Every single moment of every single day is an eternity. Every second is an eternity. And every second that you delay rescuing me and Max is the moment that you are making an agreement with terrorists and giving them an invitation to continue to torture me. And they joke about it all the time. Like, your dad doesn't believe you. Oh, he's one of us. He doesn't believe you. Oh, he is one of us. He was actually watching you the day after Thanksgiving in 2016. The reason why he told you that story about going to the Hampton Inn, walking from Chris's house, is because he was watching you the whole time. He's in on it with us. He knew that he's known the whole time. And so, like, if I was a paranoid person, Dad, I would obviously, or if I thought the worst of people, I could certainly jump to that conclusion, because that would be the more rational, simple conclusion than a group of terrorists sending another group of terrorists over there to manipulate you into doing that. But if you aren't in on it, then again, the chances of me, and you didn't know where I was at the time. I didn't tell you I'd just come back from Chris's house. I didn't tell you where I'd been. I didn't tell Robin or Tom where I was. Then they told you. That sparked your memory. That didn't happen at all. You had no idea where in town I was. I had updated Facebook of, roughly where I was. But again, I didn't say where I was going. The last time I updated it, I said I was on 51st Street, which isn't, super close to that area that I was in. And the odds of you telling a story about an event when you walked down to the Hampton Inn, because, we were still sleeping, and you walked down to the Hampton Inn to get coffee, and I did that same walk, maybe a slightly different path, but I did that same walk from the same neighborhood, from the same house. The odds of you telling me that at the very moment, like right when you said Hampton Inn, I looked up and the Hampton Inn sign was right there, half a block away. The odds of that happening are virtually impossible to have occurred under just under a simple coincidence. You made that walk like 12 years or more before the moment that let's say that was in 2016, and you visited my house, I think, before I graduated in 2004. I think Chris and I were still together. So that was at least 12 years before that date. Over 12 years before that. So the odds of you recollecting that moment, and they like to do that. They like to get things coinciding with them. That's why I hung up on the phone with you, because I didn't think that it was you. I thought it was them playing with me. And it was them playing with me. They were playing with both of us. So the odds of that happening are virtually impossible. The odds of me knowing that the guy in 301 was in receipt of my stolen phone when he wasn't the guy who stole my phone, and the guy who stole my phone didn't stay at the hotel, and I had no idea how he knew that stranger, and that he had hacked my Google account, are virtually impossible. I couldn't have even guessed that or suspect that, even in a paranoid, delusional, schizophrenic state, high on the most massive amount of drugs possible. None of which are true or were true at all. But you keep ignoring that, and you keep ignoring my pleas for help. Every time you ignore this, Dad, whether you watch this video or not, is another moment, another day that you give them, another day of my life. Not to mention the years or decades that you have shaved off my life, not to mention the years that you've wasted, since the time I told you were making the biggest mistake of your entire life. But you've taken years or decades of my life from the irreversible damage that continues to occur to my body and psyche. And you don't give a shit about that. If you cared at all, I wouldn't still be suffering from this. And now, thanks to you, I will be suffering from this. I'll never get over this, and I'll suffer from this for the rest of my life because of you. So if you're doing something and you're not telling me, or if you're not doing something, both of those are highly the most unethical, illegal things that you can do. You've been notified of terrorism. You have to respond to it, even if it's just a chance of it being true. And I've already proven to you that that's what it is. It's not possible for me to have this paranormal activity, to have cups be pushed off the dresser, to have my phone knocked over when it's just lying flat on the surface of the bed or whatever, and there's no movement or anything, or to have or to be just holding a cup of water and 2 times in a row, similar to the glass getting knocked off, seeing seeing it react to something as if something had just shot down in it, going shooting back up to it, with schizophrenic voices talking about that and saying, look what we did, look what we can do, look, we're gonna do it again, boom, again. That is impossible to not be real people. If we can rule out extraterrestrial and paranormal things. No key. Also at work, they continue to pound on me. They were doing the heat lamp a few times. That's kind of what they're doing now. They're actually doing it right now as I'm saying that. Now they're starting up the heat lamp again. I can do this and I feel a warmth on my hand, and I feel electrical shocks on my hand. I don't feel them when it was resting here beside it, or when it's holding my phone. Although a lot of times when I hold my phone, they like to make my hand go numb. Yesterday they made my arm go numb, and they said, "Hey, we're making your arm go numb like we made your dad's arm go numb." Or maybe we didn't make his arm go numb, but we know about his arm going numb. We're still being numb, and we're mimicking that with you now. So I stepped outside. It's still 80 something degrees outside. Even at 9:25 at night. That's normal for Austin, Texas. It was cooler. It felt cooler walking out there than it did in this room, and it's not because the room's hot. You can see that the thermostat set to 68 degrees. It's a brand new AC system, and what a coincidence is that our AC systems broke down a day apart from each other, or maybe the same day, because I don't know, maybe you took a day to get a repairman out there. So what are the odds of that? Not that I'm a paranoid person, but they talk about that shit all the time. They point out coincidences and then manufacture coincidences. It's basically 68 to 70 degrees in here. I felt cool in here when I started this video. This light right here has no heat to it. All the lights they're not normal. They're not the old-fashioned light bulbs that don't produce any heat. I can put my hand up against it. It's not hot at all. But they're doing the heat lamp thing on me now, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit. I'm starting to get dewy. They like to say that because they like to quote things from videos that I watched, and that's a quote from Kathy Griffin when she was on a job interview. And now they're mentioning the ass crack and how she had to pack her ass crack with toilet paper to keep the ass crack sweat at bay. And they're still attacking my ass crack. My ass crack still hasn't healed. It's still got scabs all over my ass crack, and they're also attacking to the sides of that as well. And I still have an infection down here that spread from my lymph node. When they were attacking that, they backed off on that a little bit. Sometimes they will focus on my appendix area, saying we can make that swell up and kill you with appendicitis, or increase the chances of you dying from that. So they say shit like that all the time. And Dad, so you're allowing that every moment, every day is an eternity, where you're allowing me to be tortured and terrorized, physically and sexually assaulted, and to be kidding out, and to be demoralized and dehumanized, and to have my dog tortured and traumatized. And if you hold someone down that's being raped, or you prevent them from escaping being raped, that makes you a rapist. Regardless, that's exactly what you're doing, Dad. And if you still continue to do nothing, I put you on notice for over 3 years now. This is fucking ridiculous. The only reason why you're so opposed to sending rescue or doing an investigation is because either, and again, I'm not trying to say that you're in on it with them. That would be the most logical conclusion, but it would be because they're in your head, or they got in your head and they planted the seed, and they're mentioning Inception now, the movie. And now you'll never believe me. So you still ignore every single, the thousands of logical points that I pointed out. I can't read license plates before I see them. I can't read signs before I see them. I can't know that certain colored truck is going to pass by me, because that was, it's somewhat close to the colored truck that Jason Barrientos, the guy who was in receipt of my stolen phone at Studio 6, was back in 2016. They used to do that a lot. They used to be like, wait for it, look over here. Jason, it's Jason in the truck. He's coming out. Like, I don't have the power of premonition. I don't have sight beyond sight. You keep ignoring that. Right now they're pounding on my back and they're doing the heat lamp on my face. I don't have a fever. I stepped outside and it felt cooler. Every time I lay down, whether I'm under the covers or not, or under just the sheet or not, I can be totally on top of that. They do the heat lamp on me. It feels like I've got like a warm electrical blanket over me. Sometimes they turn that into like a sunburn feeling. So, and now as I'm saying that, they're starting to make it feel more like a burn. And they're saying ever so slightly, because they are doing it ever so slightly. That's not schizophrenia, Dad. I already took at least three different medications for schizophrenia, and they did nothing, because I'm not schizophrenic. And you're still doing nothing. And if I get mad at you or whatever, then you like get into this weird defensive thing. Like, when were you such like a defensive, like, when were your feelings hurt? Like, when did your feelings get hurt so easily? When were you so easily offended by things? My reaction is like very well controlled and calm compared to like how I'm really feeling towards you. Understandably so, and you can't argue with that at all. And you can say, I believe that you believe it thing, but whatever. No, you can believe it. And again, if you just believed me and then acted like it, and acted like it like a motherfucker, and then if you felt thoughts forcing you against that, or trying to say, trying to again not be able to believe it at all. When you keep saying like, I can't believe and again, I didn't say it was a conspiracy against me in particular. They go around town fucking with people and they get stuck on people because it's fun, and they keep doing it because nobody does anything about it. All this technology has been around for many years, some of it decades, and so I have a text message from a SWAT team officer saying, I will do what I want when I want. And you don't think that's a big red flag? That's very important, regardless if it's him or someone impersonating him. And you're doing nothing about it. And if you're doing something, it does not take that long. You don't have to get footage of them. You can catch these people without using me as bait. And if you're doing nothing at all, which is what you're best at, Dad, and I guess if you've watched this video, you're going to tune out now, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop getting your feelings hurt. Like, what about my feelings? I'm being tortured every single fucking day, and you're going to bed you're actually able to fall asleep and go to bed not being physically and sexually assaulted. People poking you all over. I sit outside and they constantly like hit my face like that. I don't enjoy walking my dog, or going playing fetch with my dog, or walking to the bus stop and then like get this thing and I'm not mimicking it right now. They're literally doing that, and they're telling me right now, your dad's gonna think that you're faking that. Like, I'm not faking that. Like, right, this is all involuntary, and they're like, we're having so much fun doing this. They're saying this right now. They're saying, we're having so much fun doing this because your dad is literally, well, now not anymore because he doesn't watch these videos anymore, but your sister and your dad are literally watching you show proof of like what you're doing. And unless they think that, I guess they think that you're making it up or lying, but like, they know that you're the most honest person in the world, but they don't remember that. And they're like, it doesn't register to them that they're literally watching you quote people that are telling you this in real life and not from schizophrenic voices. And they're saying that we get a kick out of this because it's so much fun to watch this, even though we do this every single day and we've done it for like years and years and years, but we still get a kick out of this. It's so much fun to watch someone begging for their life and to watch their relatives ignore them and betray them. And with help from us getting in their heads, or at least like painting a picture of you that's not correct by getting into other people's heads locally and getting false police reports filed and false arrests done. And so, Dad, you're probably not going to watch this, and Robin, if you are watching this, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, if you really cared about me, you would make sure that Dad did not go to sleep until he organized and implemented an immediate rescue operation, and that he didn't go to sleep until that was executed successfully. Like, what are you doing? You're just watching me get tortured. And it's like, you think I just get I just have Tourette's? You don't just develop Tourette's. You're born with Tourette's and it develops at an early age. You don't just catch Tourette's or epilepsy. And this is ridiculous. I've got evidence of burns on my legs, on my ass crack. You think I like showing a video of my scabby ass crack? And Dad, you're just sitting there going like, I don't care about your burns, or I don't care about your sores. I think they're HIV related. No, they're not. Watch the video. Not that it's any of your business, but my T cells aren't low enough for that to even be a problem. They're going to be, because again, like, you're choosing to end my life earlier and earlier and earlier the longer you put off a successful rescue. And I don't care about the investigation. That is secondary to getting me max to safety. And you're not even gonna watch this or whatever, and you don't realize how much you make things so much more impossible. And you think that you make it easier because you throw some money at me sometimes. But it's like, I've been without that phone number, whatever, had, like, you allowed me to get that phone in the store, but you wanted to bicker over like $100 price difference because of the online thing, which I knew was going to take forever or not even happen. And it happened exactly the way that I knew it was going to happen. And so because you wanted to save $100, you cost me an additional 3 months of suffering. And that's exactly how my PayPal account got hacked, probably. Because I wasn't able to lock my phone because I have two-factor authentication on it, so I can't get into Google and lock my phone. You know, but like, it only recently became, when my PayPal account was hacked, it only recently became more important to you. When the whole time I'm like, Dad, like, oh my God. And this is exactly what I knew, because I knew if I bitched about it too much, you'd be thinking I was bitching about you doing me a favor about giving me any money for it towards the phone. Which, the other phone that I got, I bought with my own, with money from a job that I did. And like, I don't even know if that $100 was refunded to me, because Tom wouldn't check his records. And then Tom kept saying, no, okay, you can send me that $100. I'm like, no, Tom, they're like, they didn't add $100 to your bill. I need to see if they took off $100 bill, $100 off your bill. So to this day, I don't even know if like Tom owes me $100 or if the store owes me $100. And if they owe me $100, I can't even go to them because I don't have the PIN for the account, maybe because Tom's so unreachable. Like, you guys make my life so much harder. And Tom says he believes me. And it's like, if you believe me, and like, you're not a good friend, or you're not a good dad, and you're not a good sister to let someone suffer and just let them suffer. And sending Robin down here to pick me up, I'm not going to quit my job and move to a more remote area where I'm just sitting there getting tortured all day. At least, at least I can have a job where I can, hopefully make money and try to get back on my feet, even though I'm being pummeled the entire fucking day. But things were worse when I was in Whitney, Dad. It's not just an Austin thing. Like, I don't know why you keep thinking it's an Austin thing. Like, I wouldn't have paid for you to go back if I knew you were going to go to Austin. Why the fuck not? You'd rather me just be a sitting duck and spiral into like suicide? Like, every time that you refuse to do what I've asked you to do, Dad, you're making a conscious decision to say, I am doing something that will intentionally cause more suffering to my son and will push him further and further towards suicide and or being murdered. And will continue to, and even if those don't happen, will still shorten his lifespan on both ends, wasting his life on both ends. Like, you're the one trying the same thing, expecting a different result by doing nothing. That's exactly what you're doing. And if you're offended by watching this video, should you have even made it this far, should you have even watched it to begin with, which is a valid point, because like, all these hundreds of videos, Dad, are because you didn't do anything after I told you were making the biggest mistake of your entire life. And after you promised to hire investigators, where I thought any day now you were sneaking up on them and going to rescue me any moment. That was over 3 years ago. So like, the past 3 years of suffering is on you. It's entirely your fault. And like, you don't see it that way because they might still be on you or whatever. Again, I didn't remember like drawing penises on the piece of paper until they mentioned it to me, and the word Jack sideways, because it can look like a face. And so that's something that sometimes you learn at school or whatever. It's one of those stupid things that you come across sometimes, or drawing those little cartoon things. Like, it's not something I would have recollected all of a sudden. They mentioned that while you around the time you moved. That doesn't mean that's the time that they found it, but like I didn't remember that. So so either you or your girlfriend obviously came across it when you were looking at it. That's not something I would have recollected, even under hypnosis or whatever. So they keep mentioning that they did. So I keep giving you facts and facts and facts, and red flags and red flags and red flags and red flags, and you keep ignoring every single one of them. I don't need you to respond to them on every single thing and to make some bullshit thing about like, well, technically it is possible that you guys guy 3 went at your cell phone, because no, it is impossible, virtually impossible. The odds of that are like 1 in a billion. He wasn't the person who stole my phone. If you'd asked me like who stole my phone, I could have told you who it was. It was a guy named Mike. It wasn't Jason Barrientos. I don't know how the two of them even knew each other. The guy that stole my phone, I left it in his van. In a moving van. I left it in there. He didn't return it to me. So like I have no idea how it ended up in the hands of someone at the hotel that I had no clue that the guy knew. So again, it's not just virtually possible, it's impossible for me to have come up with that name because he wasn't the person who stole my phone. I could not have known that even in a paranoid, delusional, schizophrenic, high on drug state, none of which were true at all. And I'm still sitting here being tortured. And like, I don't care what you're not doing or what you're doing. I need a rescue immediately. I already told you, I already put you on notice and said you've already had like over 3 years to do this. And like, I was like, fine, you're on notice for 24 hours. Not that you watched it, but Robin watched it. So she should have told you that information, but she probably didn't. But in any case, like, I could be dead any day now. Never to know if this truth would have ever come out. You know, never to have ever been happy ever again. Thanks to you. And of course them, the terrorists that you aid and support. Because you do aid and support them every time that you make a choice to not send me an immediate rescue successfully.